Ever stop to think how much those little impulse buys on your phone are adding up to, and how many subscription payments are sneaking out of your bank account every single month? Before I started using Rocket Money, let me tell you, I had no idea. But the first time I logged in, I saved $435. I couldn't believe it. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I just love the dashboard. It shows everything in one place, even the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. And if there's something you don't need, Rocket Money helps you cancel it. Plus, it alerts you if a bill increases or if something unusual pops up in your account. It's basically like having a personal assistant for your money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Kim today. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of August 5th, 2023. Thank you for being a community member. Here's hour one.
I'd always like to kick things off with something super interesting. And there's a lot of jokes being made about Mark Zuckerberg, about how he's going to have this whole Elon Musk fight to the end and see who is the better billionaire with the bigger ego. Well, news out this past week that Mark Zuckerberg is really training hard for this. And he's consuming about 4,000 calories a day. And where is he doing this? Believe it or not, at McDonald's. That's right. His favorite order is this: 20 chicken nuggets, a quarter pounder, large fries, an Oreo McFlurry, an apple pie, and then he gets some cheeseburgers maybe for later. Wow. Who would have ever thought that Mark Zuckerberg, wearing Brunello Cucinelli, which is an expensive Italian brand, goes into McDonald's and every day eats 4,000 calories worth of stuff at McDonald's. Crazy stuff. And speaking of, with McDonald's closing all around Russia, I guess that means it's now a no fry zone. Oh, yeah, that was funny. On that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm, of course, Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And you're about to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. It's just crazy, isn't it? And if you're a brand new listener, welcome. And if you are a regular listener, welcome back. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations across the United States. And you can get us as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial-free, over at Komando.com. Just hit that big old bright yellow button that says the Komando Community. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the Armed Forces Network Radio, serving 375,000 American servicemen and women in 175 different countries and 200 ships at sea. Yes, they get the Kim Komando Show too. I love that. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. Now, here's the deal. I'd love to hear from all of you, but if you need immediate technical support, you need somebody to hold your hand through something, I want you to reach out to my team of experts over at getkimshelp.com. Once again, that's getkimshelp.com. Alrighty then, every single day I check out 38, I actually counted it, 38 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. And here are 5 things that you need to know right now that's happening in the tech world. And we're going to start with ChatGPT. That's right. Even though ChatGPT has only been in use for around 8 months, there are a few places online that just haven't been touched by its inaccuracies and outright lies. Yes, I did say outright lies. The AI chatbots, they don't lie all the time, and that's the problem. Unless you're familiar with all the material that the chatbots write about, you can't readily spot the false information, and they're calling it AI hallucinations. And they place every business, every organization, every school student using ChatGPT at high-risk consequences. We're talking about lawsuits, failing grades, job losses. Now, here's the deal. Google is now pitching a news writing AI chatbot to legitimate news organizations. Yes, we're talking about AI writing the news. At Google, it's called Genesis. So this is really unsettling, not just to journalists, because here's the deal. Where does ChatGPT get all of its information? Where does AI get all of its information? Well, right now, it's getting it primarily off of the internet, okay, which is filled with what? Lies and misinformation, just tons of it. So that's why you just can't trust ChatGPT and AI to give you the right answer all the time. All right, moving on to number 2. This is really fascinating that if you are an actor, it's time for you to just get a brand new career. Listen to this story. Alexandra Rubalcaba is a professional background actor in Los Angeles. She normally makes around $200 a day for this work. Now, during the pandemic, she landed a 4-week stint on the Disney Plus series WandaVision. Okay, this is fabulous. It's wonderful. She's working for Disney. This should just make her career explode. But get this, she was called to a tractor trailer along with her other background fellow actors, and each one was called to stand out in front of these high-tech cameras on metal rigs. And now, you have to picture this. They were tucked behind glass, and nothing seemed out of place. I mean, after all, she was on this superhero show, right? Well, in front of this rig, she got a set of directions from the director. She was asked to show different poses and expressions, her hands in, her hands out, happy, scared, frustrated, all while looking in different directions. After about 15 minutes, there was a complete digital replica of her. That's right, along with all the other actors. They weren't being told that they were being digitized or how these digital selves would be used. But AI is totally going after Hollywood. Moving on to number 3, times must be really hard for Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know if you've ever seen the ads for Daily Harvest, but they're all over social media. They promote healthy smoothies and soups, all delivered to your doorstep, and it's backed by Gwyneth Paltrow and also her friend, her BFF, Serena Williams. Now, here's the bad news. Some of the food that Daily Harvest is sending out is really making people sick. I mean, very sick. The brand's lentil and leek crumbles sent 130 people to the hospital. 40 of them had to have their gallbladders removed. Oh my gosh, right? Now, the reason why I bring this up is that Gwyneth did a deal with Airbnb, and she put her Montecito house, which is a gorgeous house, up on Airbnb, and they're going to give 1 night free to stay in her guest house. And it opens up on August 15th, so you can enter to try to get that. Now, she says it's her sanctuary for mental clarity, and you're going to have all the goop essentials to nourish your body, mind, and soul. After all, that's her company. And I'm wondering if that includes the scented candle. You know what I'm talking about. It has that unique, exciting fragrance. That's right. It can be a little anticlimactic, they say. Moving on to number 4, would you get a brain chip implant? Keith Thomas's life had changed a couple of years ago. He dove into a swimming pool, miscalculated, and he broke his neck. And he was paralyzed from the neck down. He lost his independence. He spent most of his days confined to his bed. He got out of the house once every 6 months. But the reason why I bring this up is that life is changing for him because now he's able to move his hands thanks to a medical study. It happened at Northwell Health's Feinstein Institute for Medical Research. What they did is put 5 small microchips inside Keith's brain, and they pulse electrical patterns to activate and strengthen the damaged nerves in his spinal cord. And now, if you think this is just science fiction, it's really happening thanks to computer tech. And finally, this, number 5, there's a way to live in mansions around the world for free. A fascinating story that I saw in Business Insider about Marco from Argentina and Fran from Illinois. They were in this long-distance relationship. But as they found each other, they started developing this love of travel. And they went to all kinds of places like Thailand and India and Brazil. And they don't pay for the airline tickets to meet each other. As a matter of fact, they get paid to do this, and they get paid to house sit. So their air travel, all their expenses, everything's all free. And how are they doing this? It's over at a website called trustedhousesitters.com. Once again, that's trustedhousesitters.com. I would totally love that gig, wouldn't you? Just travel all around the world, get paid for it, and not have any expenses? Yeah, sign me up. E-bikes are just loaded with a lot of tech. They're pricey, they're fun, and they're selling like crazy. But a lot of these e-bikes are getting a little too hot. I mean, there are stories from all corners of the world about e-bikes just bursting into flames. It's just frightening. And let me tell you, I own a few e-bikes, and I always make sure that I follow the rules, but a lot of people aren't. And so firefighters are tackling these scary situations, suspect with the same thing nearly every single time. Electric bike batteries are to blame. Now, New York City is just facing an e-bike epidemic, and We're talking about building fires, even fatalities. And to help us shed some light on this issue and get some tips along the way, we have with us the highest-ranking uniform position for the New York City Fire Department, FDNY Chief of Department John Hodgins. So when it comes to the fire department facing these e-bike fires, is there a trend? What have you noticed?
Yeah, so as you said, there's just been a tremendous uptick in the amount of fires related to e-bikes. For example, in 2019, we had 30 fires related to e-bike batteries, lithium-ion batteries, with 0 deaths and only 13 injuries. Fast forward to 2022, and we had 220 fires with 147 injuries and 6 deaths. And 2023, they've increased even more. And as year to date, we have 144 fires, 88 injuries, and 13 deaths, which is just tragic.
It is. Now, when you roll up to a structure fire, do you know if it's a battery-fueled fire or not? And do you fight that fire differently?
No, we do not know. We see, just like we always see, whether it be a heavy smoke in the street or flames coming out windows, and we go in, we fight the fire the same way. And we just attack it from the inside with a hose line. With the e-bike fires, that section, that e-bike will be a little stubborn, but we eventually will be able to extinguish with like copious amounts of water.
And what's the biggest obstacle to fighting these fires?
The biggest obstacle, I would say, is the how fast the fire spreads when it starts from one of these e-bike devices, the lithium-ion batteries. It's more like an explosion. It starts out as a light smoke condition coming out of the battery, and within seconds, literally, the room is engulfed in flame. So that is really, the big challenge, and that's the reason why so many people have been killed, is that they have no chance of getting out due to how fast this happened.
Wow. Are there any fire codes specifically for e-bikes and these lithium-ion batteries?
Yes, we have in our fire code, there's, a limit to how many of the batteries can be charged. There's some new legislation out that prohibits the sale or use of batteries that are not certified by a testing laboratory. An example would be UL. We're in conversation with city, state, and federal lawmakers to try to, get even some more laws passed, regulation that would make this something that's safer.
So what do you think consumers are doing wrong? What's some of the big mistakes when they're charging their e-bikes?
They charge them overnight. They leave them unattended. They use a different charger for the battery than the one that came with the bike. These bikes are used extensively here, usually for food delivery. And, when the performance starts to suffer, whether it be that the battery doesn't last as long or the bike doesn't go as fast, they actually take them apart and try to enhance the performance. And that's something that's really dangerous. And, because they're tampering with, like a product that was certified at a laboratory, and it's maybe not putting it back together the way it should be.
John, I've never heard of that somebody actually is trying to go in there and enhance the performance. What are they doing exactly?
Inside the e-bike battery, it's usually a rectangular box. Inside there is actually like individual battery cells. They look like a AA battery, a little bigger. And sometimes some of them, fail. Then the rest of them are good. So they remove the ones that are not working and replace them. But the manner in which they do it may not be up to the specs of the manufacturer. So tampering with the batteries and rebuilding them is a big problem and causes a lot of fires.
I realize because, I'm from New Jersey. I know it's totally different than New York. But are you seeing an increase in EV battery fires as well?
No, we really have not, and I think that all comes down to the technology. I think e-bike, the technology is just not there yet as far as the safety components. And with the vehicles, although we get them occasionally, it's a lot less of a problem.
And so some just general rules of thumb, don't leave your e-bike plugged in when you're not home or overnight. If you can, charge it outside. I know that's really hard in a big city like New York, especially if, somebody is going to steal it.
And of course, use the charger that came with the device. And also, when you do have them inside your home, never leave them in your path of egress, such as, as in your exit pathway, whether it's by a window or by the front door, or, that's a big mistake to put them somewhere that if, God forbid, there is a fire, you're still able to get out.
And then are there just a couple of last questions? Are there some clear signs that the battery is going to maybe cause a fire? I mean, if it starts to smell, it looks funny, makes weird noises?
Yes. If the battery is damaged in any way, that's a clear indication that there's more potential for fire.
John, is there anything else you want to add?
I would just say that, it all comes down to public fire safety messaging, and the public needs to, pay attention and realize that these devices have a potential for dangerous situation, and the numbers speak to that very clearly with the, so far in New York City, we've had 13 deaths associated with these fires. So it's, they're a great way of getting around and very convenient for people. But at the same time, you have to take it very serious and, charge them according to the directions that, the manufacturer recommends, and never tamper with the batteries.
Thanks, John, for being here. What a great interview that is. I mean, talking about e-bikes, make sure that you do follow the rules, because, we don't really know exactly how these batteries are going to interact with all of our different components that we're putting towards that. And so you make sure that you always follow the rules and never leave that e-bike plugged in 24/7. All right, still to come, we're going to talk about ways that you can use an AirTag, and I'll tell you something really important that you don't want to miss, or 3 ways that thieves are now stealing phones. And speaking of phones, did you know that there's a hidden code attached to your phone that gives advertisers and marketers access to your private data? Yeah, it's called MAID, M-A-I-D, and that really stands for Mobile Advertising ID. In a nutshell, this code is attached to your smartphone. It collects data on all your online activities. Now, it's supposed to be anonymous and shouldn't be connected to your name or any other sensitive information, but as it turns out, guess what? That's not the case. Yeah, I know, we're all shocked. There are reports of slimy data brokers who boast of collecting this MAID data and connect all of it to your personal information, like your full name, address, phone number, email address, even your IP address. But listen up. There's a way to make sure that none of what your phone collects on you is attached to this mobile advertising ID. So here's what you need to do. On your iPhone or Android device, just head to your settings, and you want to toggle off disable personalized ads. That's all there is. Disable personalized ads. You want to make sure that that's off. All right, let's see. We have Glenn in Atlanta, Georgia. Hello there, Glenn.
So great to talk to you today. I'm a first-time caller, but a long-time reader of your articles, anywhere from preventing scams to saving more money at Costco. So I appreciate everything you do for us out there.
I'm here for you.
Thanks, Kim. I have just purchased a 24-inch Vizio TV for our kitchen, and in order to use the wireless capability, I have to agree to both Vizio and Google terms of service, as well as their privacy policies. That concerns me. I'm not sure if it should, is it kind of the first question. And then, is there a way to get around that, or should I just return the TV and get another one?
Well, let's talk about Vizio. And Vizio isn't alone in this. Vizio actually makes 2 times revenues selling data than it does selling TV. So let me put that into perspective. They call it the Platform Plus. So when you look at Vizio's revenues for over, say, 3 months, this Platform Plus, and it sounds really good, like, oh, I like Platform Plus. I would want to have Platform Plus. I mean, why wouldn't I? It pulled in around $58 million in gross profit. Okay. How much do you think they made selling their TVs? Well, I kind of gave it away because I said 2 times. Selling their TVs, they made around $25 million. Okay. So you can see where the TV is becoming the loss leader. And that's because Vizio uses its TVs to gain access to the real money makers, which is what? Your data and advertising data. And so you can turn it off if you want on Vizio. If you have a brand new Vizio Smart TV, which you have, it's going to be under System and then Reset and Admin, and then it says Viewing Data. Don't worry about writing that down. We'll send that to you, okay? If you have an older Vizio, just happen to be listening, it's under Internet Apps. We also have the steps on how to remove them over at the website for Sony, LG, and Hisense. And so what kind of data are they selling, right? That's always the next question. What you're watching, how long you watch, the commercials that you actually sit through, the commercials that you skip. They may be getting some demographic information based on your zip code and then tying that into your other data points that they have. So they can build a whole big profile about you based on, maybe you're watching My 600-Pound Life, and then after that, you're watching The Real Housewives of New York City, because I know you sound like you're totally into The Real Housewives, aren't you?
Yes,
right?
That's all me.
It's yes. So that's just so if there's anybody in Atlanta that's watching it 24/7, it's you, Glenn. I know that. Just kidding. And so I don't think you need to take it back. I just think that you probably want to go in and toggle off that viewing data, but just keep in mind that. Anytime you have a TV connected to the internet, it's going to track you, okay? And there's a lot of value in those data points. So just it's something to worry about. If you don't like it, turn it off. Otherwise, you can leave it on.
Okay, awesome. Well, obviously, I'll turn it off. I am in IT, and now it worries me that the company's collecting the data they do on us nowadays.
I know. Seems like everywhere you turn, somebody's collecting data.
Yeah.
Again, if you need those steps, just hang on the line, Glenn. We're going to send you those steps. For everybody else, head over to Commando.com, and you can just search for an article that says Stop Smart TV Tracking. Once again, that's Stop Smart TV Tracking. And Brady in Minneapolis, you're up next.
Well, love listening to your show. I've been listening for a long time, and now it's finally come to the time for to wonder whether I should be replacing the battery in my phone because it's discharging fairly quick, or if, since it's an iPhone 10, is it just time to retire it and move on? Is Apple going to support it that much longer in the future?
It's always that question, isn't it? Do I pay to fix it? Is it worth fixing? Should I just go buy a new one? And it seems to be like anything that we have in tech comes under those categories at some point. The iPhone that you have was released in 2017, which generally means that Apple is going to stop assigning any type of updates, firmware updates, probably this year. Okay, so it's not going to receive any more software updates, which means that you need to get a new phone. And I know a lot of people are like, Apple does this on purpose. It's planned obsolescence and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? It's just the way it is. And I wish it was different because, like, for example, I have a 1946 Chevy pickup truck. And I love that truck, okay? But it just doesn't work that way in technology. What is the percentage of the battery?
It only gets 86% of the full charge now.
Typically, you're almost on the borderline. It's about 80%. Is when we say, all right, it's time to replace the battery. And replacing the battery can cost anywhere from, say, $15 to $100. And the phone's battery is designed to retain at least 80% of the original capacity after 500 complete charge cycles. So the question is, because the battery is acting up, because it's no longer in warranty, I'm sure it's not, unless you have Apple Care Plus, they may replace the battery, but still the phone is going to be replaced. So it may be time for you to, spend money and get a new phone, because, it's kind of like not what we want to do. The latest iPhone models are anything from, say, $400, which is a 2020 version of the iPhone SE, to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, which is, $1,600. So it really depends on what you want to do, but just know that the phone that you have right now, it's not going to last much longer, simply because it's going out of date. And that's just the way it is. If you need some more information about which iPhone to buy, we have some handy dandy charts over on the website. Just hit commando.com. And Brady, thank you so much for your call today. I do appreciate you getting through. All right, your phone is pretty valuable. Think about it. How much did you spend for it? $500, $1,000, maybe even $2,000 on a smartphone? So criminals are getting creative in stealing your phone. Like, for example, my friend Mary was on vacation in Rome with her 14-year-old daughter, and they were just taking selfies, and then some good Samaritan came over and said, oh, here, let me help you. I'll take a picture of you and your beautiful daughter. And so Mary put her PIN in and handed her phone over to the guy, and then guess what? He ran away with her $2,000 phone. Or how about this one? You're out at a bar, and somebody says, oh, gosh, we should get to know each other. Text me your number. And so you open up your phone, you put your PIN in, you text, guess what? Yes, that person will also run away with your phone. And also another way, somebody will come up to you and ask to borrow your phone because their car broke down or their dog died or whatever it may be, the trauma of the moment. And then again, you put in your PIN and yes, you know the rest of the story. You give them your phone and then they run away. So just make sure that you're super cautious when you're out and about. And if somebody just seems a little suspicious, they probably are, and they may not always be that good Samaritan. Hey, if you're not already following us on social media, what are you waiting for? Especially on Instagram. I'll have to tell you this story. Ian sent me a video that his friend took of him. And it's kind of a strange story that they were in LA and an elderly woman was trying to cross the street and the cars wouldn't stop for her in the crosswalk. So my son Ian put his hand out to stop the cars and then he walked this elderly woman across the street. Well, his friend videoed him doing this and then sent me the video. It's like, this is like what a gentleman that your son is. And then, of course, Ian sent me the video as well and said, this is going viral. And it is. And in case you want to see the video yourself, head over to Instagram.com/Kim Komando. Once again, that's Instagram.com/Kim Komando. That's where I'm also posting some updates. As many of you are aware, I had a cornea transplant a couple of months ago, and everything was going great. Things are not going so well now, but I'm hoping for it to turn around. But in case you're looking for some updates on my personal life, again, that's going to be over at Instagram.com/Kim Komando. Kenneth in Carmel, Maine.
Very pleased that you decided to check my question. I just purchased a smartwatch, which I saw advertised on Facebook. And so I did some researching on it because it is supposed to be able to give you a blood glucose reading without blood sticks. It does it by reading with a laser light. And it sounded very intriguing, and Apple has not come out with it. They're playing with the technology, but Apple hasn't come out with that yet. So I purchased it. And when I finally received it, the instruction book was very vague. All it told me is it was a smartwatch, didn't give me a model number or anything with it. And after some reading in the book, I finally found that it is an E400 model. And from that, I finally found some videos and things. But my question to you is, the app that they asked me to load is called H-Band. And I'm concerned of the safety of that app. Okay, to put that on my phone.
Here I'm gonna cut you right off here, Kenneth, because here's my concern: is that you bought something on Facebook.
Well, not from Facebook. I followed an ad. Yes,
I understand that. That. I know you didn't buy it from Facebook. Okay, but you saw an ad on Facebook.
Okay? Yeah.
And there's a lot of Chinese junk and garbage that's being sold on Facebook.
Apparently,
now,
yes.
You said that this capability is not available with an iPhone, but it is, and also a watch. There's a company called Dexcom, that's Dexcom, and it's a small wearable sensor. It's sort of just under the skin, normally on your abdomen, and it measures the glucose levels. Attached to the sensor is a transmitter, which wirelessly sends it to an iPhone or to your watch. So you get real-time monitoring. You get glucose readings every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You get continuous tracking. And then it also interacts with how much you eat, your exercise, your medication. It can display the current glucose level, any trends. It also will alert you if the levels are moving too high or too low. And it's compatible with a whole bunch of devices. You don't need those finger sticks required anymore. It's all done wirelessly. And then it also can share your data with your caregivers, your healthcare providers, and the sensor is wearable for up to 10 days. And so if you're looking for a really good solution to monitor your blood levels, your blood glucose levels rather, is that I wouldn't depend upon something that I bought off of Facebook and then they tell me that I got to download this app and this and that. I would go with the standard because this is your health you're talking about. I would send that back, get a refund automatically. Just get a refund. And then look at this Dexcom G6. Again, it's called DEXCOM G6. There are other companies that do the same thing, One Drop and My Sugar. But, the capability for you to work with this on your phone and also on your smartwatch, like the Apple Watch, it's just if you are trying to monitor your health, that's where I'm going to point you into what is the best, not to what is being sold on some ad on Facebook, because I don't know what it is. And I just know that there's just a lot of garbage being sold on Facebook. And I just want to make sure that you didn't buy one of those and what sounds like you did. And go with the best. And again, that's Dexcom, One Drop, or My Sugar. I wish I had better news for you, but this is where we need to go. You want to go with the iPhone and an Apple Watch. Now, I want every one of you to be super careful when you're on Facebook and you see any type of ads for any type of health products. I want you to be sure that you read the ads super carefully and do research the company. Look for the official website. Look at customer reviews. Check them out at bbb.org. Look for any certifications. And especially if it's relating to your health, I'd like you to reach out to your healthcare provider and say, is this something that you would recommend? Is this a supplement that I should take? But again, I want you to be very careful because Facebook, like Google, they're not going to go ahead and look at anybody who wants to put an ad about a medical product up on their site. They're not going to do that. Okay. So you have to be careful. You have to do your homework. I don't want anything bad to ever happen to any of my listeners. And so again, just make sure that you do the research. Hey, are you someone who's always hunting down your keys? Maybe you lost a wallet, you lost a shoe, whatever it may be. Now, if you're an iPhone owner, you have to get yourself some of these Apple AirTags to keep track of everything that matters. I mean, yeah, I know you can put one in your bag and on your keys, but you can also get creative. Like, for example, if you have a Roomba or a robotic vacuum cleaner, and maybe it gets stuck under the furniture and hard to find places, what's really interesting is that you can just put a little AirTag attached to it, and then anytime that little robotic vacuum gets lost, you're like, where is it? Now you know exactly where it is because you can use the Find My app, and then you can use the Find My app then you can just use the Find My app. Or how about this? Attach an AirTag to your television remote. No more hunting around in between the cushions every time that remote disappears. And what about where you parked? I actually put an AirTag in every one of my cars, so that this way I know where I parked it, but in addition, if it just happens to go lost or stolen, then I can always track it down and turn that location over to the police. And by the way, AirTags, cheapest place to get them is Costco, where you can get 4 of them for about $89 versus $100 over on Amazon. Hey, tell 3 friends about The Kim Komando Show because knowledge is power. You can always find me 24/7 at komando.com. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen, their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Thank you for listening. Here is hour 2.
I always like to kick things off with something super interesting. As many of you know, Elon Musk owns Twitter, and he has now changed the name to X because he likes the letter X. He likes the name X. He actually named one of his kids X. But also, when we switched from Twitter to X, we got rid of that lovely little bird logo, right? Well, some people are desperate to get the bird logo back for their Twitter, which is now called X. So how are they doing this? Well, there are some ways, some long ways that you can do that. We have all the steps over at the website at commando.com. But some people are getting creative. How? They're taking their old phones, okay, that have the Twitter logo right there, and turned off any update for Twitter, and then they're selling them on eBay. Old phones with the Twitter logo. How much do you think they're going for on eBay? Anybody? How much do you think? Well, one hasn't sold yet, but they're listed there for around $25,000. Oh my gosh, $25,000. Speaking of eBay, I put all my copies of Chiropractors Weekly up for sale on eBay. That's right. I just have loads of back issues. Yes, on that happy note, welcome. It's, of course, the Kim Commando Show. It's the nation's best and biggest and most trusted show about all things digital. I am, of course, Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And you're about to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And to our first timers just tuning in, we're thrilled to have you. And to our loyal listeners, welcome back. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations from coast to coast. And we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Commando. And you can find us streaming as a podcast, as a webcast, 24/7 over at commando.com. Just search for that big old yellow button in the upper right-hand corner that says Commando Community. And a special shout-out goes to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network radio. I'm talking about the servicemen and women in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force who are listening in 175 different countries. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. Now, let me tell you, if you need immediate technical support, you need somebody to help you with your Wi-Fi, your printer, maybe setting up a new computer or a phone or a tablet, whatever it is, I want you to reach out to my team of tech experts right now at getkimshelp.com. Once again, that address is getkimshelp.com. They are there 24/7. And if they don't fix your problems, you don't have to pay. Once again, that's getkimshelp.com. All right, every single day I check out almost 40 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date on what's happening in the tech universe. And here are 5 things that you need to know right now. And we're going to start with the myth about Apple products, that they are immune from badware and from viruses and from spyware because, it's a Mac. It's not a Windows-based PC. Not so much. It turns out that Russian hackers on the dark web, they are marketing an ingenious way to get into Apple products. There's an ad floating around promoting what's called a hidden virtual network computer tool. It's designed to give attackers full control over Macs, even surpassing any type of built-in security features. Now, they're so confident, these Russian hackers, that it's going to work, that they are willing to give anybody a $100,000 guarantee. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you'll actually get the $100,000 because we're talking about Russian hackers located where? On the dark web, but they're out there. Now, VNC, virtual network computers, it's what IT guys and gals use to get into your computer, and they take over and they offer remote technical support. Now, a hidden virtual network computer is so insidious because you don't need permission and you can't even see what the hackers are doing. So just want to bring this up, that if you're on a Mac, you need to make sure that you have internet security software too. Number 2, looking for love in all the wrong places if you're dating online. This is really super interesting, is that apps have made it a lot easier for folks to connect up, right? And to hook up. Well, people are finding that Tinder and Match and Bumble and all the other ones, Plenty of Fish, that it's not exactly the best way to meet somebody. What they're actually using is Google Docs. What? Right? I mean, I said the same thing. What about the dating apps? No, Google Docs. They're calling themselves Date Me Docs. They look like little resumes, and they say that it gives you a fuller picture of what you're getting into if you decide to go on a date. So inside the Google document, you put in a headshot, and you write everything there is that somebody might want to know about you. Then if someone wants to actually go on a date with you, on the bottom, there's a little form so that you can make a request. Now, these Date Me Docs are then put into a directory of other Date Me Docs for dating. So I went online and I searched for some, and I can see why a lot of people want to do this over Tinder, especially if you're looking for a real relationship. Again, they're called Date Me Docs. All right, number 3, more young people than ever are getting hearing aids. What's going on with that? New research from the CDC says that about 1/5 of all Americans under the age of 30 have had their hearing damaged by noise. Can you guess what the main culprit is? I know, you're super smart. Everyone's just plugging stuff into their ears, blasting music at unsafe levels. In fact, if you have your headphones on for more than 60 minutes at a time, you're supposed to take them off and give your ears a break. Now, I know more than a few people need to listen to that advice, right? Another thing, hearing aids are getting a lot more affordable because now you can get them over the counter. That actually went into play October of last year. So a lot of young people are now saying, hey, that's a lot more accessible. And they don't always look like those old, big hearing aids that we used to see in our grandparents. But this just reminds me of a story. This is so funny. My father-in-law just got some new hearing aids, and he was just telling me how great they are, how he could suddenly hear Fox News and everything that was going on. And then we talked for a few more minutes, and I said, hey, Dad, what do you want for dinner tonight? And he actually did this. He looked at his watch, and he said, oh, the time? It's 4:30. And I was like, yeah, those hearing aids are really, really working well. Moving on to number 4, light bulbs. Yes, Thomas Edison's greatest invention, or that hot light that burned your hands. Over 140 years we've been using them. After a 16-year battle in Washington, D.C., the incandescent light bulb is now banned for sale in the U.S. to enforce new regulations that those old bulbs just can't meet. There's a new energy efficiency standard of 45 lumens per watt. Now, incandescent bulbs provided only 15, so to replace them, you buy the LEDs. Now, I will tell you that not all bulbs are being unscrewed under this rule. I mean, we're talking about appliance bulbs, bug bulbs, colored lamps, and other specialty lights. They may get a pass. So, and don't worry about the old light bulbs that you have on hand. They can keep on glowing until they naturally just burn out. And last, this coming in at number 5. Wow, backseat drivers, you're going to love this. But I will tell you that when I drive, I really like to drive. I get a thrill out of driving, and I like a steering wheel, and I don't want to sit in anybody's passenger seat or back seat. But BMW, the i7, their latest car, you could actually live in the back seat. You got to listen to this. It's basically a cinema, an office space, a lounge, all rolled into one. It has this 31-inch roll-down screen. It just spans the entire width of the car. And then it has a 36-speaker 4D sound system with built-in seat shakers. Yes, like you have in some movie theaters. Connections to all the streaming services, of course. The reclining seats are more like lazy boy chairs. Now, to really cap it off is that you have a personal assistant in your i7. You can just say, activate theater mode. And you have to say it like that. You can't say, like, turn on the theater. No, if you're in this car, you have to say, activate theater mode. And from there, automatically the windows dim, the sunshades close, and the screen rolls down. And the price, you ready for this? $150,000. Wow, $150,000 for that car. Hey, speaking of cars and music, 1 minute you're young and you're having fun and you're blasting your music. And then the next minute you're turning down the stereo in your car just so you can see better. I know you've done that. I know you have. You have. You know what? I admit I have done that too. Thomas in Rochester, New Hampshire.
I booked a vacation, and I found out Delta was flying me to my destination. So I was calling them to try to get an upgrade to first class. And it didn't seem like Delta, but even though it said it was. So I ended up getting forwarded to a company called FairShop. Now, I did give them my credit card, but I felt something wasn't right. So I called Delta back, and I kind of told them what happened, and I told them the company. Then they said, oh, yeah, that's a scam. So I canceled my credit card, and I opened a LifeLock account just to protect myself. Mm-hmm. And I have a UMA phone system, so I checked all my logs, and I verified that I actually did dial the Delta main phone number. And I opened a case with them.
Oh, you did?
Yes. And I opened a case with them, and they told me they had no record of the call, but they had a record of my second call. So I filed some complaints with the DOJ, and I opened a case against the company FairShop from, I think it was a Consumer Protection Agency and the FBI, which is IC3 case. So anyway, the case with the DOJ was with Delta, and I had all the logs, I had all the emails, I zipped everything up, I gave them to the Department of Justice, and they made 2 attempts to contact Delta on my behalf. And it took, I think, somewhere around a month, and they wrote me a letter, and they sent me an email, and they said, Delta has never contacted us back on your case, so we're closing it. So I wasn't sure what to do next. I mean, I was thinking of getting a lawyer because I have all the proof, and I even opened a case with UMA to make sure that there was no way, since the phone log showed I dialed them, that there was no way. And I actually was looking up the CEO of the company, and I was trying to email and find out them, but I actually got through to someone named Susanna Curtis. I figured out that she was the administrative assistant for the CEO, but I didn't know that at the time. So during a call, I was talking to her, and she was like, well, you were spoofed. And I'm like, well, I didn't get the call. I initiated the call. She was super rude, and she just offered me 250 frequent flyer miles credit. And I'm like, well, I don't really want that. I don't want to fly with Delta anymore.
So Thomas, because you're using UMA as VoIP, does the UMA phone number show that you were calling Delta?
Yes, it shows. And the reason why I knew I called Delta, because while I was trying to get the first class upgrade with the scammer, I had another call coming in, and I was super annoyed because I was trying to talk, and it's got that clicking noise. So I know for sure, and I knew the time. I sent it to Delta. Delta did call me on the original case, and I did talk to someone, and I asked them about their phone systems, and I think they said something that their phone systems was out of Chicago, and they found the one call that I made, but they said I didn't make another call. But I sent them all the information, and and another thing they thought is that I was I initiated the dial from the phone itself. I don't use this dialer on the computer that connects, and that's what they thought, but it wasn't. But now my thought. So
you actually put in the number.
Yes,
you actually put in the number.
Punched the number. And at first I thought I dialed the wrong number, but I'm like, no, it can't be. So
I'm wondering if there was something in UMA, in the VoIP, that when you dialed Delta, that the VoIP line got compromised and sent you over to this airline scam site.
Well, that's what I thought. So I opened the case with UMA, and they said that was not possible. So, and that how would they know that through UMA that I was dialing Delta? What I think happened.
Oh, they could. They can know that. That's a well-known number. I mean, I think that would be pretty easy to set up an if then or else statement.
Yeah.
If the customer calls this main number for Delta, then substitute that number for this. I think that would be pretty easy.
Yeah. What I think happened is somebody in Delta forwarded the number to the scammer, they're getting paid for forwarding a number.
It could be that. But what I would do if I were you is I would push this out on social media I push it out to UMA, and I push it out to Delta, on their Twitter handles, and say, how come you're not responding to me about this? And UMA, is you just said, no, it doesn't happen, case closed. and I want to see the logs on your side. My gut is telling me that there was something going on in the VoIP world. That's what my gut is telling me. Now, just because I think it's going to be really hard, I would have to think that if you got hit by a scammer by calling a Delta phone number, that you would not be the only person. And the DOJ would have a lot more complaints, and the FBI a lot more complaints than you. So that's why I'm gonna point the finger to UMA. I would want them to actually come to the table and show me what happened, because they have all those logs. They know everything that's happening. They know everything that you do.
Yeah.
Okay, as far as when you're using that phone line. And so I would actually point it back to them and see what kind of result they could tell me. Because you know what, Thomas? If you're using UMA, my concern is you're going to call somebody else. And if their system somehow got compromised, and I don't know this because I haven't researched it, but if their system did in fact get compromised, then you have a bigger issue, because now you can't trust whoever you call is actually going to be that person. So, ask them for that information and then call me back. This is like the rest of the story. I need to know. And obviously, you're smart, you're IT literate, and because of everything that you've done so far, and keep us posted. Another thought, you just might want to look for this. I mean, maybe there's some malware or some malicious browser extension on your computer that is redirecting the call or maybe displaying an incorrect number. So make sure you hunt that down too. All right, right now we're going to dive into the universe of a very busy Reddit community. It's called Am I the A-Hole? And it's a place where, people bear their deepest, darkest dilemmas, and they unfold what's happening in their life, all seeking an answer. Is this person to blame? Did I do something wrong? So the crowd steps in. I love this. They cast their votes and perspectives until the conclusion comes forth. Are you or are you not the metaphorical a-hole? Now it's time for you to put on that judge's hat. Once a week, I handpick a fresh post for your consideration, and the judgment falls on your shoulders. But wait, we have a special guest primed and ready to embrace the challenge and compete for the grand reward. Yes, it is the much-coveted Kim Komando Show fanny pack that's beyond any valuation. Well, it's worth around $35. And joining us this week is Lloyd in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Hi there, Lloyd.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for taking my call. Glad to be here.
So what do you do there in Wisconsin?
Well, I work as a certified financial planner and a certified public accountant and do a little insurance. So a lot of financial stuff.
Oh, so you're the fun guy at the party, aren't you?
You would be surprised. Everyone's got a tax question.
All right. I'm sure we do. All right. So here's the deal, Lloyd. I'm going to go ahead and read this story that was posted on Am I the A-Hole in Reddit? And then at the end, you have to decide, is this person who wrote it the A-Hole or not? You ready?
Ready.
So someone sent anonymous messages to her and some of her friends and coworkers with a link to the video I uploaded. Well, she got so mad at me, she called me an a-hole for uploading the videos without asking her permission. Now, I have to tell you, both camera systems were put there by me, and I manage the devices. I have since deleted the video, but some of her friends found copies other people had included, and they keep teasing her all about it. I don't know why it's such a big deal. There are tons of similar videos on the internet. It's not even that easy to recognize her, especially in the home security video. So I'm asking everybody here on Reddit, am I the a-hole or not? Okay, so now it's up to you, Lloyd. Is this guy an a-hole or is he not?
Absolutely he is.
Why do you say that?
What an invasion and breach of trust. That should never have been shared with, well, anybody, really.
I agree. I think he's trying to humiliate her. He was trying to get a joke on her behalf. And I think he's a pretty crappy boyfriend, all in all. So
exactly.
Let's see what she does. She needs to find a new guy. All right. Let's see what the internet says. Is Lloyd right that the guy is an a-hole, or is he wrong? All right. We're all in agreement. She needs to find a new boyfriend. All right. So I know you have a question for me, Lloyd, and how can I help out? And congratulations on the big win for the Kim Komando Show fanny pack. So what's going on?
Well, I've always wanted a fanny pack, so thank you for that. About 14 years ago, I set up a Facebook page, or somebody did, for my high school class. And recently, people have been posting all over it for unrelated things, jobs and buying T-shirts. And I've been getting requests to try to clean this up. And I don't do much Facebook. And I was Googling, trying to figure it out. And I believe you said you can't Google trusted advice. So I thought I'd call America's digital goddess for help.
Well, you came to the right place, Lloyd. You're probably seeing all the ads for everything under the sun because it's a public group. And what you want to do is make it a private group. And we're going to send you those steps as soon as we hang up, exactly on how you do that. You go into Facebook, and then you have to edit the group settings and membership approval. And that's when you set it to be private. And so basically you have to permission anybody who comes in. And so what you can do is actually ask them questions when they submit that they want to be part of the group. You know, are you a member of whatever class this high school was? And then you can actually verify that they were actual classmates. The other thing you want to do is filter out anybody who is a member and you know that they're not part of the class, because this way you can get rid of some of that some of that junk that's been just, some of that junk that's just been taken over this Facebook group. So we'll send you those steps. The other thing that you want to start thinking about are other ways that you can increase engagement within this group, right? So you want to make sure that you share regular updates, at least a couple of times a week, about what's going on, or even an old picture, because if you're in charge of the group, now the viability and the longevity of the group is really up to you. And so what you can do is put out there, hey, if anybody has a picture of so-and-so, if anybody has a picture of this event that happened, whether it was a prom, does anybody have any fond memories of the math teacher or the gym teacher or whatever it may be. You can also start doing polls and surveys. And a lot of these will also encourage participation and develop like this sense of community and nostalgia that can build excitement that I'm sure that you're wanting to put together as far as a reunion. It also gives you the ability to pin posts. So if you are having a reunion and you want everybody to see it, so you want to pin that post to the top of the group. So anytime somebody approaches that group, they see, hey, you need to RSVP because we have this great event coming on. And it's because we have this great event coming on. And if this all becomes just too much for you, that's when you can start delegating some responsibilities and you can assign people different roles. And those roles could be anybody from, to start approving people who want to join the group to maybe approving the venue or what's going to be happening. But again, first step is to get in there and to make the group private, get rid of all the people who should not be there. And then that's when you can start building the engagement. We'll send you all the steps that you need. And Lloyd, once again, congratulations on the big win. Yes, the Kim Komando Show Fanny Pack. That if you really want one, all you have to do is go to kimkomando.etsy.com and we sell them right there in our Etsy store. That's kimkomando.etsy.com. All right. One way to cut down on the endless scams and spams and bogus text messages and phishing emails is to make sure that you keep your personal data safe. Okay. And you want to hide things. Like, for example, hide your email address. There are these services out there when you want to sign up for, say, a newsletter or maybe a white paper and you're not really sure where your email address is going to end up. You don't want to give them your primary email address ever. So you want to use something like Temp Mail. There's also 10-Minute Mail. Now, if you're an Apple iCloud Plus subscriber, you have access to Hide My Email. I have that, and it's really phenomenal. You can also set up a burner phone number, too. This is really important when you're selling anything online. Now, you've heard me talk about Google Voice for so many years, and with good reason. It works, and it's absolutely free, and we've got all the steps on how you can set it up over on the website. Now, if you don't want to do a Google product, I know so many of you hate Google, that's when you want to use maybe an app called Burner. Now, it's not free. It starts at $5 a month, but you can get a 7-day free trial. There's also Hushed, and that gives you unlimited talk and text for $4 a month. So we've got links to the 10-Minute Mail, the Temp Mail, and how to set up Google Voice and these other services over on the website. Just head over to komando.com. And then right there in the middle of the homepage, there's a button that says Show Pics, and that's where you'll find the link to everything that I just spoke about. If you have 2 minutes every single morning, say when you're brushing your teeth or you're letting the dog out, make sure that you're listening to my daily tech update, because in 2 minutes, you're going to get the latest tech news and you're also going to get a digital life hack. That's right. 2 minutes a day. That's it. And you want to make sure that you just search for Commando wherever you get your podcast, with a K, of course. And you want to subscribe to the Daily Tech Update. It's absolutely free. Subscribe is what the podcast players actually say or follow. So again, that's the Daily Tech Update from me, Kim Commando. All right, Renee in St. Louis, Missouri.
My father is developing dementia. And I'm worried about keeping him safe online from all the information hacking that's going on. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that I can do to maybe help protect him from that? He doesn't have a social media. He doesn't have a social media presence, and my mom is like technology. She's dead set against it. She doesn't want anything to do with it, so she can't even turn the computer on. But
okay,
yeah.
Well, what kind of computer does he have?
He has one that was built by a computer guy here, so it's a Windows system, I believe.
Okay. That's probably the worst machine for him to be on, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because it just opens up the windows, no pun intended, for every hacker and scammer to come right in, because he's liable to get a pop-up and it looks like it's from Microsoft and it says to update, or we found something in your computer and call this number, and they're just relentless when it comes time, and they try to steal from especially older adults, right?
Yeah.
If I were faced in this situation like you, the first thing I would do would be to get rid of that Windows computer. It sounds like it's a little older too, and it may not have all the necessary security updates. And even if you have antivirus software and firewalls and all the security that known to mankind, even people who do not have dementia are falling prey to some really expensive scams, up to and including wiping out their bank accounts, because the scammers are relentless, and we don't want that to happen. So that would be the first thing. I know you don't want to take away his independence, however. So what I would do is I would buy an iPad, and I'd take over the iPad and say, you know what, Dad, look at this. I just bought this iPad, and look at everything that it does. You can, I can put a keyboard attached to it, and I can use it as a real good laptop. I can touch the screen, and I can start a FaceTime call with me or one of the other kids or grandkids. Okay? You can play your favorite games. If he likes to play chess, I'd put chess. I'd make it so it was his personal device. Just his personal device. Download the apps for his bank and put that on there. Download the apps for if he has a 401k, Fidelity accounts, his pension, whatever he likes to keep track of. Okay, stock market, and so this way it becomes his device. And I would show him that you just have to touch the button, and everything will just appear right for you. And we don't. And the good news is, Dad, that we don't have to worry about all of the security software, the antivirus, the anti-malware. You could put on a password manager on this, Renee, if you think that you need it. But iPads will do a great job with facial ID, so he probably doesn't even need a password manager. And I would tell him that this is just the safest way for you to keep doing everything that you need to do, because quite frankly, the scammers are out of control. And our government is not doing anything about it. And people are losing hundreds of millions of dollars every year. And I'll tell you, Renee, I hear these stories all the time. I'm not kidding you. And when I say all the time, I mean like every other day, about somebody's parent who clicked a wrong link and suddenly ended up going out and buying gift cards, or going to the bank and transferring $50,000 to some probably 12-year-old kid in Eastern Europe or in India or wherever this kid may be. Okay?
Right.
And so that's what I would do. And, use the analogy that, you wouldn't leave the house without locking the door, right?
Right.
Okay. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that everything is just locked down because the hackers and scammers are out of control. And if Apple does one thing right, Renee, what it does is it keeps that ecosystem right there. Now, will he still get phishing emails? Absolutely. He will. Okay. So, so there are ways that you can sign in, and I can tell you how to do this, and you can set up, which I would probably do, set up parental controls. He won't know that these are parental controls for a child, but you could limit in-app purchases. You could limit other websites where you don't want him to go, and he won't be able to go. Okay. And he won't know. Okay. So that's what I would do. My first step would be to get rid of that computer and just say it's too old. It's just got to go.
Yeah.
And then buy him an iPad, and then when you take it to him, set it all up. Now, the reason why I know that this works, and I bet you it'll work, even though my mother did not have dementia, is that I had to get my mother off of a Windows PC years ago, and she was so reluctant to do that because she felt comfortable in Windows. And I gave her an iPad first, and then all of a sudden that Windows machine just went off to the side, and she's like, hey, I need an iPhone. Okay. And I'm like, yes, you do. You need an iPhone. Okay?
Yeah. So he does have an iPhone.
Oh, okay. That's even better yet, because what you're going to basically be doing is giving him a big iPhone. Okay. That does a lot more. But if you can engage him and put things on there that he already knows, he's not going to be having this huge learning curve, and he's still going to retain his independence and feel like he can still do things. And then you can feel safe that, some 12-year-old kid, like I said, from India isn't going to come in and just swoop in and then just take everything away. And Renee, thank you for your call. All right, that cheapo television that you just purchased, it may be sending off your data to the data brokers. Okay, here's what to look out for to see if your TV is actually spying on you. Any unusual network activity. Say your TV is using a lot of data, or it's sending data to strange IP addresses that you can look at the logs on your router. Next up, tracking features. Some of these smart TVs, they monitor your viewing habits, and they send your data to these third-party advertisers, and data brokers are the manufacturers. Now, if you want to opt out of this data collection, then you need to check your TV's privacy settings. Now, smart TVs will allow you to turn this off, and you can do this if you're concerned. We have all the steps over at Komando.com. And again, just want to search for TV tracking, and I know that tip is going to pop right up for you. All right, be sure to tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show, because knowledge is power. And while you're there, be sure that you also get our free newsletters and join over 500,000 folks who are just loving them over at Komando.com. That's with a K, of course.
Here is hour 3.
I always like to kick things off with something super fun. And there is a social media influencer by the name of Christina Avigan. And she is from New York, and she rides the subway. So you might be saying, so what does she do on the subway? Does she talk to people? Does she interview people? Does she walk up to them and say, what do you do for a living? No, she dresses like a crazy person. Like, for example, the outfit that I saw, she's wearing all different types of lingerie, and then she took big oversized basketball shorts and rolled them up. And people are taking pictures of her and saying wow, maybe this is the new style. Again, it's at Subway Sessions, in case you want to take a look at her, at Subway Sessions. Wow. You wait till you see some of these outfits. You're like, I wouldn't be caught dead in that outfit. But people are loving it. They are just loving it. What's the difference between a social media influencer and a bench? What's the difference between a social media influencer and a bench? You know what it is? One can support a family. And on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this. It's called the Kim Komando Show because it's the nation's largest, biggest, best show about all things digital. I am, of course, America's digital goddess, Kim Commando, here with you once again. And you're about to get more tech smarts because every single thing is now a tech thing. And to all of our newbies, welcome aboard. Our regulars, nice to have you back. You look marvelous today. And you can find the Kim Commando Show on over 420 top stations across the United States. And of course, we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Commando. And you can also find us as a podcast, as a webcast, 24/7 inside the Commando community. Once again, go to commando.com and hit that bright, happy yellow button that says Commando Community to check it out. And a special hello goes out to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries who are joining us on the American Forces Network Radio. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And let me tell you, if you need immediate technical support, you need somebody to come on your Mac, on your PC, help you out your Wi-Fi, set up something smart in your house, fix your printer, whatever it may be, you want to reach out to my team of experts over at getkimshelp.com. Once again, that's getkimshelp.com. They're there 24/7. And if they don't fix your problems, folks, you do not pay. Once again, that's getkimshelp.com. All right, every single day I visit at least 35, maybe even 40 different websites to make sure that I'm up to date on everything that's happening in the tech world. And this way I can make sure that you're up to date too. And here are 5 things that you need to know about tech that are happening right now. Now, imagine growing up in a small town like Fairfield, Connecticut. And that's where Daniel Kensberg's story begins. His mom and dad died, and then he inherited a beautiful plot of land there. So one day, imagine this happens to you. Dan gets a phone call from a friend in Fairfield and says, "Hey, wow, that's really great. I see that a new house is going up on your land. Does that mean you're moving back?" Well, here's the deal. Some scam artist in South Africa had faked an ID passport with Daniel's name and picture with a bunch of wrong details. Then they tricked a legitimate real estate site into listing the property, and just like that, a building company paid $350,000 for Daniel's land, and they started just building on it. The price tag so far on the house, $1.5 million. Ooh, $1.5 million. Now, Daniel, of course, is saying, I don't want the house, and you shouldn't be building on it, and it's my land, so how do I get it back? And everybody's suing each other, and so it's just big mucky muck that's going on there. So here's what you need to do. On the real estate websites, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, make sure that you claim your piece of land. I want you to claim it. And also your house. Might as well do that while you're there, because this way, if anybody changes the status of that, say that it goes for sale, or it's sold, or it's pending, or contingent, that you're going to get an automatic notification. Now, you can also place a property fraud alert in some jurisdictions. So this way you'll be notified if someone tries to file documents regarding the property. And you always want to make sure that you use title insurance if you buy anything. And you also want to maintain relationships with your local neighbors and contacts, because that was really how Daniel found out. He probably would have known otherwise for years. Crazy. Number 2 on our list, Juul has a way, they say, to stop underage vaping. Thank you for that. They got slapped with a huge $462 million settlement in April. They had to pay up to 6 states and Washington, D.C. that all these fruity flavors were just creating this generation of nicotine-hooked kids, and that was really what was happening. So now they have a brand new plan, an e-cigarette that can tell if you're underage. Here's how it's going to work. The vape's going to pair up with an app on your smartphone. Then you got to prove that you're old enough. You have to upload your government IT and a real-time selfie. They're going to check it. And they also say that the new e-cig is going to sniff out counterfeit cartridges. Is it going to work? You know what? Kids can always find a way around anything if they want. I mean, think about when you were a teenager and you figure out how to buy booze, right? We all did that. Yes, Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill. That was mine. Yeah, back in Jersey. That's what we drank in Jersey, the Boone's Farm. Yeah, it was pretty bad. All right, moving on to number 3. Hello, mother. Hello, father. Yes, I'm talking about summer camp. Well, the Wall Street Journal is talking about a brand new trend among parents with kids at these summer sleepover camps. They're calling them photocopters. Not like helicopter parents. No, now they're called photocopters. This is the name for parents who are obsessing over photos with their kids at summer camp. So they start examining every tiny detail in the pictures of their kids, and they're reaching out to the camp counselors. Like, for example, if the child has a neutral expression, the parents will automatically assume that the kid is stressed and they're not happy. Maybe they just didn't want to smile at that particular moment. If they're standing alone in a picture, oh, poor Johnny and Janie, they have no friends. Come on, counselor, you need to make sure that they're making friends. This was actually one that a mother called the counselor about. Could you imagine? She wanted to tell the camp counselor that she saw a picture of her daughter, and she needed the counselor to tell her daughter that wearing the blue tank top with the striped pants is evening wear. That's not to wear during the daytime, sweetie. Gosh. Oh, man. Hey, listen, what kind of summer camp, listen to this, what kind of summer camp would a toilet, a mountain lion, and a cantaloupe all go to? Let me give this to you again. You're going to want to tell the kids this one. What kind of summer camp would a toilet, a mountain lion, and a cantaloupe all go to? You ready for it? A John Cougar melon camp. Oh, that was bad. All right, number 4. Google Street View car leads police on a 100-mile-per-hour chase and crashes into a creek. What's going on that? It happened in Middletown, Indiana. And the cops caught the guy, turned out to be Coleman Ferguson. He was from Florida. He told the cops that he worked for Google, and he was too freaked out to stop, and cops weren't having anything of that. They arrested him for resisting law enforcement with a vehicle, and now he's waiting on formal charges. But here's a hope. We might be able to see all the photos this car took during the chase on Street View. Wouldn't that be fun? And finally, this coming in number 5 is your kid suddenly wanting to wear a polo shirt. Here's the reason why, is that golf is having a moment everywhere online. A TikTok account from St. Andres built a following over about 250,000 fans by posting comedy sketches centered all around golf. And they say as COVID-19 swept the globe, people turned to outdoor socially distanced activities, and that's where golf fit the bill. And this is interesting. It's an end to 21 years of declining golf rounds played. After 21 years, suddenly golf is out there. All right, imagine this. You step outside and wow, you just see a mountain of Amazon packages. And then you start looking like, what happened? I mean, but they're not for me. I didn't order all this stuff. Well, that's exactly what happened to Dr. Cindy Smith from Virginia. And let me tell you, it wasn't just like 1 or 2 surprise packages. We're talking about over 100 different Amazon boxes. And they just kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming. And inside these boxes were just like a whole bunch of random stuff. Headlamps, glue guns, kids' binoculars. And every single one of these boxes is addressed to someone by the name of Li Jiao Zhang. Cindy, it's so great to have you with us. So let's just dive in. So when did you first find yourself in this whole Amazon avalanche of packages? And how many boxes came to your doorstep in total?
Geez, probably maybe up to 150. But they were all sizes. Sometimes one headlamp, sometimes one glue gun, sometimes 20 headlamps with 6 glue. It was always a mix of all different sizes.
And so did you start like wondering like, oh, well, somebody's sending this stuff to the wrong address? Did you reach out to Amazon? Did you open a few boxes wondering what the heck's going on?
Well, we did. Like initially, I thought it was coming, we have a family lawn and landscape business. So I thought maybe my husband accidentally, there was an error and he ordered something weird. But once we ordered them and they kept being headlamps and mostly glue guns, and they were all addressed to the same man, we called Amazon and they are like, oh, it's probably some scam. Give it away, throw it away, or donate it. But they were not interested in having it back.
Okay. So then you're just sitting there with all these headlamps and kids' binoculars wondering like what the heck to do with it all?
Yeah, like the boxes were all the way out, onto our walkway, to the point the post office said, hey, your house is unsafe for packages. We're not delivering anymore. You have way too many. And so then I had to move them inside and it took up like my whole garage bay. But, yeah, I was just like, I can't throw these away because that's not right. And I just started thinking, how can I do good with all the stuff?
And so what did you end up doing with it?
Oh, loads of things. I sort of made up these rules in my head that whatever I did with it, it had to go to somebody that was passionate about connecting people to the environment, because that's what I do, or very much into sustainability. So initially I gave them to groups of master gardeners, master naturalists, and those are environmentally oriented people that teach groups of youth or the public, in gardening or anything nature related. I gave them to a friend of mine who has an outdoor group for men of color. I gave them every Amazon driver that started coming to our house and would drop them off. And they came from Amazon, from FedEx, from post office. I said, hey, it's pretty dark here. We don't have street lights. Would you like lamps? And they'd be like, oh, man, we can't take any of that product. And I would show them my stash. And they'd be like, okay, maybe I can't. And they would, yeah. And I'd say, well, how many people in your family? Like one of them, he's like, my dad's a plumber. He works underneath cabinets. This will be great. So I did that. I gave them to all my family, all my friends. Family members took boxes. They gave them out in different cities. I gave quite a few to emergency management people as well, because we had just, seen this really bad storm where tree cutters were working through the night, up where I am right now in Maine. So we gave a bunch to them for their night rescues. We've given them dog walkers, animal shelters, veterinary clinics who have to walk dogs at night.
Wow.
Somebody who's doing nighttime stuff. Oh, and then I went to a convention where, huge Virginia convention for homeschool families. And anybody who came to our booth, where I sell these educational products to get parents and teachers interested in getting kids out into nature. I'd say, how many people in your family? And they'd say, well, I have 7 kids. I'd be, here's 7. You can have 7 headlamps. Or would you like glue guns? And it gave away about 600 events.
That is so innovative, really. I mean, so it actually became a way for you to give back to multiple communities and really just be like the best lady in the entire neighborhood for this to happen. Do you have any idea what the total dollar amount value is of all the boxes?
Well, we looked them up online. They've gone up in price since, but we thought it was about $17,000 that was sent to us. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And I know one thing that was weird is when I went to that, it was a 3-day convention. I gave away about 600 of them. And then I still had 2 boxes full. And so I gave them to every custodian, every maintenance worker in the Richmond, Virginia Convention Center, every security person. I went and gave them to every valet parking person. There was pizza delivery people on bikes. They got some, and I just handed them out and I felt so kind of like unburdened. And I drove home and the packages did again. I was like, what?
Oh, no. You're like, okay, I'm finally free from all this stuff. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's starting again. And did Amazon explain to you why some merchants do this?
No, absolutely they did not. They just kept saying, throw it away, give it away, donate it. There was no explanation given at all. I looked online. I assumed it was a brushing scam. Somebody wanted to get 5-star reviews for these products because supposedly every product that showed up was a verified purchase.
Yeah, that normally happens on onesie or twosie products. I mean, not when we're talking about hundreds of boxes. And this was probably what I have heard is it's probably an instance where a third-party merchant is getting out of the business and it's going to cost them more to have Amazon destroy the merchandise than if they just ship it to some random person. Well, apparently they picked the right person, Doctor, and congratulations on all the good that you've done with all of the headlamps and kids' binoculars and glue guns. I mean, who knew that you could pass them out to so many different people and impact so many lives? Thanks for telling us your story today. Yeah, these are called brushing scams. So if you ever get an Amazon box with an order that you did not make and you're like, why the heck did I get this? What they want you to do is to hop online and to leave them a positive review. But you don't have to do that. And by the way, is it legal for you to keep all this stuff? 100%. All right, let's talk about Google. Okay, Google runs around 99,000 search queries every single second. Now, if you do the math, that's 8.5 billion searches every single day on Google. Wow. Isn't that amazing? 8.5 billion searches every single day. Now, the average person searches Google 3 or 4 times a day. So let's just say that's why Google is now a verb. I mean, it's not just like a noun, like it's Google, like we Google things. And joining us here on the Big Kim Commando Show is Ali Seligman. She's our amazing content queen over at commando.com and also in charge of the content with our newsletters. Ali, thanks for being here.
Of course. Hi, Kim.
So how many times a day do you think that you use Google?
Oh, man. Too many. A lot. Dozens.
A lot?
Seriously. Yeah, it's just built-in behavior now, right? You just open up a new tab and start typing, and that's how I use the internet.
So have you noticed that you have been using Google less since ChatGPT?
I don't really go to chat to do things that I go to Google for. To me, really? I use them differently. Yeah, I think that you are more on the side of, I think you do a good job at this, of using chat to, do things that I just go to Google for. So maybe I should learn a thing or two from you.
Oh, see, every once in a while, something good comes across. All right, so Google, they made some big announcements, some privacy changes. Tell us about it.
They did. And the first place I started to get us into this is I Googled myself. I also Googled you because... Oh,
did you?
Yeah, when's the last time we did that? I used incognito mode just so it wouldn't be, I go to all of our websites and, our stuff. So trying to make it a little more fair, someone without my search history. Okay, some interesting finds. We'll start with the numbers. A Google search for Ali Seligman, 249,000 results. Now, very few of these are actually having anything to do with me, but that's all right, 249.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Kim Commando, 3.1 million, which...
Oh,
yeah, makes sense, right? Yes.
And there's only one Kim Commando.
I know.
Okay. I wonder how many different Ali Seligmans
there are. Many. There are several. There's one that spells her name Ali. Yeah, there are a few. I don't think a ton. But yeah, there are some out there. So for me, it's things like my LinkedIn, social media profiles, old blog posts and articles from other lives when I was a newspaper reporter, when I worked in fitness, whatever. There's an ebook that I forgot I wrote about cleaning products once, or not cleaning products, about cleaning. Yeah. It's like,
did you really? When did you do that?
Oh man, it was probably 8 years ago or something. It's like a lazy person's guide to cleaning their house.
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
it's fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there was one site that said they had my cell phone number, but get this: the first 3 digits were actually my parents' phone number. So no, they didn't get that. And my wedding pictures from 14 years ago. You can find those online.
Really?
Yeah.
Were they like in a registry? Or?
No, they were hosted. The photographer who took them had them hosted on a site. And so you can just get to them if you search my name. Yeah. For Kim, it's what we'd expect, right? There's, yes, of course, your Wikipedia, YouTube, LinkedIn, ton of radio sites, all the content you've written over the years, lots of books, lots of news articles, the Radio Hall of Fame, the Etsy shop that you made. There's even an IMDb page. There's not a lot there, but it exists. Yeah.
You know what? I wanted to add stuff to that. I got into this whole circle of like, they wanted to like verify this and verify, and I'm like, I just don't have time.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out someday. We'll put it on the list. Luckily, I could not find your cell number, and I'm a pretty good Googler, so that is not there. Probably I could pay somebody to find it on the internet, but that's a good sign. But some people Google themselves, look themselves up on Google, and find things that they really don't want anyone else to see, right? And it could be for a million reasons. Maybe somebody that really wanted to get back to you decided to dox you, and so they put pictures of you online that you don't want up, or your contact information, whatever it might be. So Google is finally saying, hey, we're going to make it easier to take this stuff off. My 2 immediate reactions are great and about time. Because finally, right now you can ask for things to be taken down. You have to fill out a big form. It may or may not work, whatever. But now they're actually making it easy. So there is going to be a page where you can go, and essentially every Google result that populates about you, and if it has any personal info, will pop up on one dashboard. So you can review everything there as it pops up, which is so much easier than expecting people to go find this stuff. And often you're not going to find it until it's too late. A ton of people have seen it. Maybe you're very embarrassed, whatever it is. So on the site, you can check exactly what's being said about you, which is great. And then there's a handy little button next to each one that says remove result. Now, of course, this is not immediate removal. You don't click it and it's gone. But it's an easier way. You don't have to fill out a big form. There will be places where Google, if it's on a government site, if it's on a news site, something like that, where they deem, okay, this is up for a reason. Yeah, those are harder to get removed. But for the most part, things are going to be a lot easier to get taken down. One thing that's great too, explicit pictures. Yes, you can say somebody posts pictures of you online that you really wish they didn't. You can get those removed, although it is, again, fill out this really long form, wait, who knows how long for that to happen. They're making it easier to take those down and to take down pictures, even if you posted them yourself. Say you put something on a website years ago and you don't have a login anymore, or the website, it's there, but you can't get into it and change it. You can get that stuff removed too. So if you've got something you did in the past that you really regret, there's now a way to get that stuff off the internet too. So, Allie, I
want to interrupt you for just a
please.
second. You're talking about all this great stuff that Google's doing. Okay. Why? Okay. Okay, I think I know why, but I'm going to ask you why. Why do you think they're doing this?
Well, I think they're trying to get ahead of people saying, oh my gosh, my whole life is on Google. The better they can look to us and say, look at all we're doing for you. That gets ahead of things like antitrust. It gets ahead of things like privacy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they're just trying to build up the cred.
But I think that there's also a side of it that Google Bard is using everything on the internet in order to create its own AI brain. Yep. And so let's say that it has disparaging remarks about Ali Seligman and in her cookbook and pictures of Ali naked cleaning her house or whatever it may be. Again, I'm not saying that's the type of book, but
yes.
But then somebody goes into Google Bard and types in your name and this pops up. Well, then guess what they have? Defamation.
There you go. Yeah. So that is so smart, Kim. You're right. This is very much like clean up what's out there about you on the internet before we feed everything into AI. Absolutely.
It is. It's kind of crazy stuff. So what do you think the most searched word is on Google?
Oh.
What do you think the most searched word is?
Weather?
This is it.
Weather?
No. This was really surprising to me when I was looking up because I wanted to see how many I was just looking up those Google stats to kind of open up the segment. The most searched word on Google right now is Wordle.
Still?
Wordl. Yes, it still is. It still is. And, and of course, it's like everybody looking for answers, right? I mean, it's like, what is today's Wordle answer? Are you playing Wordle still?
No, I gave it up long ago. Do you still do it?
Yeah, I still do it. And there was one word the other day that I actually looked up the Wordle answer because I was getting so frustrated. I was like, it was like, you only get 6 tries. And I was down to 5. And I thought, I am not going to lose. So
I'll cheat.
I'll cheat. So I went, today's Wordle answer, which I'm sure that's what everybody's doing. And all these sites, they must be making some money at this.
Yeah. I'm sure they have, a gajillion ads. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And what they do is just like with the recipe sites, they make you like scroll all the way down to get to the
etymology
answer,
of the word. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, is Wordle getting more difficult? I'm like, no, it's not. I just want to see the answer. Okay. I just want to see the word. And the word was, and I want to know if you've ever, I don't want you to use this in a sentence. Sorry. The word was BEGET. BEGET. Okay. I couldn't think of a time that I've actually ever said that word out loud.
It feels like a very Bible-y word, like Kim beget Ian.
It does, doesn't it?
That's the only usage I can think of. Yeah, that's all I got.
That was great, Al.
Thank you.
Thank you. It. Yes.
By the way, if you want to sign up for the alerts for this Google stuff, if you're thinking like, oh yeah, I want this dashboard, we are sending out the links in our current tech newsletter. So make sure you get it. I'll put it in. It's going to be this weekend, and we'll also put it in next week for you. So if you want to sign up and make sure you get those, subscribe to the newsletters. We send out great stuff like this every single day.
Every single day. Over 500,000 people are getting Tech Smart less than 5 minutes a day. Once again, you sign up over at getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com. Allie, great job as always. Thanks for being here. All right, if you're buying stuff on Amazon, your electronics, I want to make sure, number one, don't pay for the extended warranty. Odds are you're probably not going to ever use it. Number two, don't pay full price. You want to look for deals and discounts. And if you're not trading in your old stuff, be sure that you do that too, because you can get some Amazon cash for that. And then also, stop buying these no-name electronics from third-party sellers. You're just asking for trouble. Marvin in Carmel, Indiana. Hi there.
Hi, it's great to be on the show. Recently, my sons and I put together a video for a new version of America the Beautiful that we put on YouTube. And my question is, how do we increase public awareness of the video? I'm not interested in making any money off the video, just in raising awareness in a low-cost method.
So you sent me a link, and I actually watched the video. Who's singing?
Well, the first three verses, each of my three sons sings one verse apiece. And then my daughter-in-law, Mila, joins them at appropriate times. And then in the last verse, a new verse that I wrote for the song, they all sing together.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's beautiful. Here, we're going to play a little bit of it right now because I think it's amazing.
Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife,
who more than self their country loved and gave to us.
Marvin, you did a great job.
Yes, thanks.
I mean, it really is amazing. All right, so you just want to spread the word about this song. Now, first of all, on YouTube, what I did notice is that you don't have a description of the video. And so your first step is to put a description of that video and then use the appropriate hashtags. America the Beautiful hashtag, hashtag 4th of July, so think of some hashtags. And so this way, when people are searching for videos, that yours will pop up because you only had, I don't know, you didn't have very many views when I saw, but I think, so that's just the first thing. Okay. And you know where to do that, right?
I will figure out how to do that.
Yeah. So when you posted the video to YouTube, that gave you the opportunity to write a description of the video. And so you need to write a description of the video so that when people are searching for your video, that it will pop up on using certain keywords. And so you might want to look at other videos that are also America the Beautiful. So you can look at their description and also look at the hashtags and the keywords that they're using in that description. So some free ways to promote it is that, of course, you're going to share the video on any social media channels that you have, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and, ask the kids to do that as well. And anybody else, their family members and friends. If you can, give it to a local venue, and then you can tell them that they can play it for free. I'm talking about, baseball games, football games, the Elks Club, whatever it may be, whatever venue that you think would be appropriate for them to play it. At the end, they can always say, if you want to hear it again, go to this YouTube channel. You also want to find some online forums. Again, these are free ways to promote videos, Facebook groups, Reddit communities. And in addition to that, you might want to collaborate with some influencers. So if you know that, for example, there are some top conservative talk radio hosts that are very pro-America, offer to collaborate them or ask them if they'd be willing to play your video on their video podcast, or maybe they'll even play the song on one of their podcasts or even on their radio show. And then again, I think the local community engagement is really super important. Now, if you want to start paying for ways, well, you can always buy ads on Facebook and on YouTube and on Google. You can pay for influencers to actually promote it. You should always collaborate with any charities and organizations. But the whole thing is that we're going to approach this from the bottom line, and you're at the grassroots level right now. And that's beginning with the basic of getting the description, getting it searchable on YouTube, defining who this target audience is. You might want to sit down with all the kids and say, okay, who is really the right person to help us promote it, and put names by that, and don't forget to, don't feel shy to not reach out to somebody. You're like, oh, they'll never answer me. You never know. Okay. You just need one big person to play the whole thing on a podcast and a radio show. And you may find that all of a sudden you have all this engagement, and then you have all these views, and then that's when you can start measuring success. So, Marvin, start down that path. And then if you need any help afterwards, just give me a call, and I'm always here and happy to help. And congratulations. It really is a beautiful video, and the rendition is amazing. And folks, we'll go ahead and link to Marvin's video in one of our free newsletters. So if you're not already getting our newsletters, just to make sure that you sign up right now over at getkim.com. All right, still to come, the answer to the question, should I let my phone die every day, here on the Kim Komando Show? The answer is no. Modern batteries actually degrade faster if you zero them out. So here's the bottom line. Keep your phone's battery level between 20 and 80% all the time. All right, if you laughed, if you learned just one thing here on the Kim Komando Show, do me a solid and tell at least 3 family members and friends about the Kim Komando Show and podcast, because as I like to say, knowledge is power. You can find me always at Komando.com.